What's up, guys? Ben here, doing something I haven't done for a while, and before I really get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to apologize for the audio quality here on this. Well, it's not really a podcast, and it's not really a video, but I'm uploading it to YouTube, so it's a thing. We can definitely call it a thing. My mixer has pretty much crapped the bed, not really usable anymore. There's just too much noise coming in. I guess there's always noise coming in on the microphone, but you get what I mean. There's just a little interference. It's something technical. I don't know. Mumbo jumbo. Anyway, I hope to fix that at some point in the future, sooner rather than later. But for now, we're going to have to deal with slightly worse audio. Sorry about that, guys, but hopefully it doesn't bother you. Anyway, on to what we're doing here today. I don't know what to call this. The obvious thing is that these are my spoiler thoughts on Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I'm going to say that again. Spoilers. There are spoilers in this thing that we're doing here. I'll mark it officially when we get into the spoiler talk. But yes, be warned. If you have not seen the movie yet, what are you doing listening to this? Just come on, just go see the movie. I mean, it's one of those things. I know the reviews have been bad, but this is a movie you should probably go see. I'll say that first and foremost. I think it's a movie that people should see for themselves and decide how they like it. I wouldn't listen to the critics on this one. Not to say that they're entirely wrong. I think they were just a little too harsh on this. So I guess I'll just lead with my opening thoughts like I used to do on a certain other thing I used to do. People know what I'm talking about. My opening thoughts on the film. I liked it for the most part, but it was bad at some key moments where it really couldn't afford to be bad. Like I said on Twitter, I gave it a thumbs in the middle because there's a lot of good stuff in this film, but there's a lot of stuff that kind of missed the mark or didn't feel earned, like they hadn't really reached a point in the story of these characters where they should have been doing these moments. But that's just my opinion. And like I said, at the end of the day, go check it out. You should see it this weekend or sometime next week if you're really not in the rush. It's worth seeing. It's worth forming your own opinion. Don't let mine or any critics influence you. If you're interested in seeing the movie, go see it. It's not going to be a total waste of your time. And I guess that's as glowing of a review as I can give it. Anyway, spoilers from here on out. I'll even put it up on the video itself that we are in spoiler territory. No holds barred. Anything goes. We're talking about the movie in depth. So anyway, now that we're in spoiler land, let me talk about what I liked about the movie. Ben Affleck as Batman was great. Although this interpretation of Batman is definitely a lot different than what we've gotten in the past. This is a grizzled Batman. This is a Batman, they've said, who's been fighting crime for 20 years. This is a Batman who's lost a Robin to the Joker. And if rumors were to be believed before she was edited out of the movie, this is a Batman who had to go through a version of the Killing Joke, and Barbara Gordon's crippled and has become Oracle. If things are to be believed about the role that John Malone had that got cut out of the film. So he's seen a lot, and in those 20 years, it seems like he's been playing a little fast and loose with his rules, especially his no-kill rule in this movie, because Batman 110% kills some mofos, and not just in the dream sequences, but like when he's in the Batmobile, he's in the, what are we going to call it, the Batjet, or the Bat plane, whatever you want to call it, he straight up kills some fools. And, I mean, it works within the tone of the story because in the end, Batman learns a lot from Superman, and almost because of Superman's sacrifice and the fight he had with Superman, Batman finds out how to be the hero he needs to be again. I thought that scene at the end with him and Lex, where he has the brand and he chooses not to brand Luthor, I think that was a choice of saying that, like, this Batman's, he's reeling it in. He realizes he needs to be better. And of course, there's the line that Bruce has at, I guess, I was going to say spoilers again, but at Clark's funeral, he says, "I failed him in life, I will not fail him in death." So I think we're going to see, I don't want to say more traditional Batman, but a Batman closer to the center of the character from this point forward. But I thought Affleck knocked it out of the park as Batman and as Bruce Wayne. That's a very important part, is that they gave him time to shine as just Bruce Wayne, and he nailed it. All the everything you'd expect from a Bruce Wayne who's trying to be oblivious, we got from Affleck. So kudos to him. He did a good job. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, she was a big question mark going into this. I thought she did perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, sure, she's not like the beefed up woman that a lot of people were expecting Wonder Woman to be, but in terms of what she was given for the role, she did absolutely fine. I think she kind of really stood on her own up against Henry Cavill's Superman and Affleck's Batman. She really seemed to fit in, which was important. They have to have a chemistry, these three actors, and it works. She works. They really do a lot with Wonder Woman in this movie. They established her just enough, but with her movie coming next year, I guess you can get away with that. This movie would have felt like even more of a mess if they put too much focus on her. So I think what they did was good, and they showed that she could kick ass, and she kicked some ass. Her part in the Doomsday fight was pretty awesome, if you ask me. So yes, another thumbs up. That's 2 out of the 3 main characters they really got down right. And I guess this doesn't really come as a surprise if we just think of his acting pedigree, but Jesse Eisenberg was a fantastic Lex Luthor. My critique is that I feel like they made him a little too Joker-esque, if you get what I mean. Like, he seems a little too much like the Joker in a traditional sense. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I thought maybe there are just certain ticks to Luthor that are very different to the Joker, but I think he was also kind of a proto Lex Luthor. I guess he wasn't shaved bald until the end and all that stuff, but he was a very fun villain. He was very good, and he seemed as smart as he was supposed to be. Like, he was as smart as he proclaimed to be, and he always was one step of the curve, and the fact that he was able to play this game of chess and pretty much win all the way up until the very end, it was very interesting. And I thought we all kind of expected him to use Superman as a pawn, but really he kind of used Batman more as a pawn, which was a bit of a surprise, and I think worked as well as it should have. And yeah, I thought Luthor was great. The action was good. The Superman Batman fight was very fun. The Doomsday fight was enjoyable, just to see how these three, the DC's Trinity, how they interact with each other and how they fight a big chaotic villain like this. All the Batman action scenes were awesome, with him in the Batmobile, and the little action beats they did in the dreams were interesting. And yeah, that was good. So I mean, I guess you can't really expect anything less but stellar action from Zack Snyder, right? What else did I really like? Yeah, I thought most of the cast was good. I mean, I think Cavill is a good Superman. I think the big problem is that his Superman is written like crap. But that's just me, it's something that's carried over into this movie a little bit. Like, the character is there, but it's something about how they have him carry himself in the suit, and, the way he converses with, say, like Lex Luthor, like, talking about how he wants to break him and stuff like that. It's not very Superman-esque, so I feel like we still have a Superman, at least up until his last moments, who was very much not in control of his emotions, wasn't really there yet as a matured Superman, which is, I mean, you can take it or leave it. I think a lot of people will still have some issues with their portrayal of the character in this film, and hopefully when he comes back from the dead, he's going to be a bit more like the Superman we all want him to be. Jeremy Irons was a good Alfred. I'm just trying to think of all the other really solid, good moments from this movie that are worth talking about. I loved the Flash cameo. I thought it was great, and I think it opens up a lot of potential. And to me, it's reassuring to know that in this, I guess, grounded DC universe, for all intents and purposes, they are going to go full force with the Flash. He is going to time travel. I thought that was the dopest thing. And I mean, I still like Grant Gustin's Flash a whole lot, and I like that show, but I'm glad they're not pulling punches with the film interpretation of the character. And I think from there, I'm going to transition into what I didn't like, about the movie, which is, I don't know if it's a whole lot, but it's some really important stuff that I think they really missed the mark on. While I liked how they established the rest of the Justice League, that Luthor's been looking into metahumans. I enjoyed the Flash cameo he had, traveling back in time, trying to talk to Bruce and say, like, you're right about him, which has a few different meanings. Of course, obviously, I think the way I interpreted the scene is that he was coming back, he was talking about a different him, but because of when he traveled to the wrong time. Like, this might have been the first time Barry's ever time traveled. Bruce thinks he's talking about Superman, but obviously he's not. And of course, at the end, he's like, did I come too early or did I come too late? So yeah, that was just a cool moment. Anyway, I like how they sort of established the four of them and their origins, but I thought we saw too much. Like, I think I would have just been happy with the Flash's logo and Aquaman's logo and the Cyborg logo. That was enough. I feel like throwing in that scene with Aquaman, throwing in that scene with the Flash on the screen, and especially just straight up showing Cyborg's origin, for the most part. I don't know, where they put it in the movie dragged it a little too much. Like, we're about to get into the big fight with Doomsday, or the big fight between Batman and Superman, and they have to show us this stuff now, and it just seemed like a really inorganic way to establish them. Like, it went from like, oh, this makes sense, to, oh, this is going on a little too long, like establishing the Flash the way they did, and they had a straight shot to establish Aquaman there at the end, with the spear being in a body of water and then fighting on a port. Like, I thought it made total sense for Aquaman to show up at that point, and myself and my brother, who I saw it with, were totally expecting it, but clearly that didn't happen. It seemed like a little too much in one centered piece of the film to just sort of take a minute and be like, hey, here's some teasers of all the Justice League. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? I thought, what else did I not like? I want to make sure I'm categorizing things in particular, because there are some big issues. I guess I'll just get into the big thing. The death of Superman, that they've killed Superman in his second appearance in this universe, and are essentially using him as a martyr to create the Justice League, and just push everything forward. This is my problem with it. I don't have a problem with the death of Superman, the story. I don't have a problem with Doomsday. I don't have a problem with doing all that. The problem is, it wasn't earned. These people, the writers, the producers, Zack Snyder, they expect you to feel absolutely crushed by the death of this Superman. But because of the way they portrayed the character in Man of Steel, and because of the way they portrayed the character a bit in this movie, not how people view him, but how the character himself acts, it's hard to feel sympathetic for him. It's hard to feel like you're truly connected to Superman. It's hard to feel like you can relate to him, and it's hard to feel like you really care about the fact that he has died. It doesn't feel earned. It's too soon. And I feel like DC did it because they wanted to establish that there are stakes in this universe, that any character can die, Superman can die, but the problem is, at the very end of the movie, they tease that, Superman's gonna be back. And in fact, it's probably gonna be like the central plot of Justice League Part 1 is the resurrection of Superman. Unless they somehow just like crap out a quick Superman sequel, in between now and when Justice League comes out in November. So it's just like, it's a cool moment, and it's executed well, I'll say that, with Superman picking up the Kryptonite spear, which is killing him, and then Doomsday getting the killing blow while Superman takes him out as well. But it was the wrong time, It had an effect on the characters, but for the audience, it's just I feel like it's hard to care that this Superman has died, especially knowing that he's just going to come back. It just seems like a hindrance. And just like how Superman killing Zod at the end of Man of Steel just felt like there was no logic behind it, no true storytelling logic behind it, I feel the same way about the death of Superman this time. And just like Superman killing Zod at the end of Man of Steel greatly colored a lot of people's opinions, including my own, on Man of Steel, it definitely colors my opinions on this movie. because it went from, in that moment to me, it went from, this is actually pretty good, like, this is better than what people are saying, to, oh, I get why a lot of people are being extremely harsh on the movie. That being said, I think the positives balance out the negatives in the movie. You know, they don't outweigh it, but they definitely, like, the Batfleck and Wonder Woman and Luthor and all that stuff, and even the story arc for Superman in this one, I think they were on the right track, but they just kind of, you know, they stabbed it in the chest with the death scene and killing Superman. I think that was just a very short-sighted choice to create drama now instead of tell a compelling story for the future. My brother and I both really hated how they glossed over that Bruce knew who Clark was and Clark knew who Bruce was. I think we were supposed to infer from the one scene they have at Lex's party that they just figured each other out immediately. But, I mean, come on. Like, there's, you know, I've never seen a movie assume its audience is so smart before. And that, I don't know if that's necessarily a compliment. Like, there needed to be a more concrete moment where Bruce knows who Clark is and Clark knows who Bruce is. Like, having Superman just land and be like, all right, Bruce, like, take off the bat costume. I know it's you. Like, it just didn't feel right. Whereas everybody just kind of figuring out that Clark was Superman felt really natural. Like, you know, when Clark goes missing after the bombing at the Capitol, Perry's just like, oh, no, Kent? Man, it's weird. It's like, oh, wait, he left his glasses. Hey, wait a second, you know? Somehow that felt natural. Although I will say, you know, the Daily Planet are going to have a hell of a time retracting that story that Clark Kent also died when Superman died, when Clark eventually comes back to work. So, good one, Barry White. Good job, Lawrence Fishburne. I will say that was another positive for me for the movie, the whole Capitol bombing. Like, just because Lex put the jar of piss right in front of the senator's seat. Like, there's just something about that. And they play it up like, they nudge it like, get it? Like, Lex got her. Lex got everyone. I don't know. It's like, shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it's a moment of the movie I really enjoyed for some reason. What else to say? You know, I was really critical of this movie during the time of its production and its pre-production and even a little bit of its post-production. But there came a point, like a couple months ago, where I was just like, you know, I just want an entertaining movie. I want to enjoy a DC cinematic universe, and if they think they're on the right track, you know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to stop judging. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to relax, and I'm going to just cross my fingers and hope that this movie is good. And I went into the theater with that same open mindset of just like, give me something good. Give me something positive to walk away with DC. And they gave me a lot of positives. But I can't help but feel, and my brother and I talked about this, that if they would just wait one more year on Justice League, if they'd let us get Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman movies before they do the Justice League, I feel like things would turn out a little bit better. You know, they would just give us some more time to know these characters and like them. But as it stands now, we're going to get a Wonder Woman movie, which is great because they really set it up in this film, showing the picture from World War I, which Chris Pine was in, by the way. I was really happy to see that they made sure to add that little attention to detail. And it'll be great to know Wonder Woman more, because I'm all for seeing more of this Wonder Woman. The fact that we're not going to really get any more Flash or Aquaman or Cyborg before Justice League, like, this is their setup. It's troubling to say the least. I think I wouldn't be surprised if DC even understands this now and maybe shuffles around their schedule a bit at the last minute, maybe fast tracks production on the Flash, no pun intended, or Aquaman, and then tries to move Justice League Part 1 back a year and then leave the rest of the plan as it is. But yeah, I don't know. And wouldn't that make more sense too? Because then you can have Part 1 and Part 2 happen in back-to-back years, and then you get the lighthearted Shazam to sort of break up the monotony of I don't want to say monotony, but break up the tone of the Justice League movies, which I'm sure are going to be a lot more dark before they get brighter. And I think that's all I have to say about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Like I said, thumbs in the middle. It's worth seeing for yourself. It's worth going to the theater and checking it out. However much money you want to pay on that, the quality of the theater you want to go to see it, that's up to you. But I think it is worth watching because I think some people will enjoy it more than others. That seems to be clear already. And at the end of the day, I think there is enough good in it to weather the storm of the bad moments, even though the movie ends up leaving a sour taste in your mouth. So yeah, that's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. If you guys want to talk to me about what you thought of the movie, leave a comment. Maybe be considerate of spoilers in the comments. Tweet me at Ben A. Leonard. You can always reach me there. If you want to talk about the movie, I'm more than open to talk to people about it, because I think it's definitely a movie that opens up a lot of discussion about where you want to see these DC movies go next. And I think it's an interesting discussion to be having. Hopefully Suicide Squad knocks it out of the park like it seems like it's going to. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I have a positive take on this movie for the most part, besides like the really bad parts. And I'm happy to say that because I just thought it was going to be a pile of hot garbage like a year ago. And I am glad to be partially proven wrong. And that'll about do it for this spoiler video thing, audio thing. I really gotta think of a name for it. There'll be a name in the title of the video, but I'm probably not gonna stick to it. Tweet me a better idea if you have one for a name, or leave it in the comments. I will be happy to steal the idea from you. And that is it for this Ben Leonard transmission. Thank you all for tuning in.